Hello and welcome to our webinar. Thank you for joining us. The session will commence soon. Your presenters for today are Monine Maya, Product Specialist, Jacques Lubbe, Chief Executive Officer. Our guest presenter for today is Jayce Zidel, the General Manager of FCB.ai. The topic being presented today is our very own Archi. Please get comfortable and proceed to place your microphone on mute. We will be joining you soon. Hello and welcome to our webinar. Thank you for joining us. The session will commence soon. Your presenters for today are Monine Maya, Product Specialist, Jacques Lubbe, Chief Executive Officer. Our guest presenter for today is Jayce Zidel, the General Manager of FCB.ai. The topic being presented today is our very own Archi. Please get comfortable and proceed to place your microphone on mute. We will be joining you soon.
We'll start off with our session this morning. I am going to record and we'll share the link with you in the email after the session. So first off, I'd just like to welcome you guys. Thank you for joining us. I know your schedules are quite busy. And then I'd also like to welcome our guest speaker, Jayce from FCB.ai, and then Jacques Lubbe, our CEO. And we're going to just show you some updates on Archi and share some stats with you. Okay, so during the meeting, I just asked that everyone mute themselves. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. We'll try and pause and answer the questions. Otherwise, after each presentation, we do have a Q&A session. Okay, shall we start with the video?
Yes, why not? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. We're just going to show you a quick video from our social where we introduce Archi with the client queries.
I'm back. We are starting 2022 with a bang, and I've got something bigger and better to show you. Apart from me, never sleeping, taking leave, or being sick, of course. Next up, you will see how I handle debtor queries and why Swordfish software is the best innovative game changers. Take a look.
And then I'll just hand over to Jacques here. Thank you.
Thank you, Monine. Thank you for the kind introduction and the video. I can see a few faces still online. Damien, you are the one that I can see. Just confirm you can hear and see us fine. Jayce, on your end, all good? Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And then welcome. We're very excited and thankful to have so many of our clients, our valued clients online. And today I won't take too much of your time. I can't wait to hand over to Jayce. Jayce is from FCB.ai. They are the developers, our partners in this project, in the Archi project. And they are the brains behind what you and I see on the front end when we do daily collections. So let's just talk about why a bot and why we need an Archi in a call center. Debt collection, we often get asked that question, and it's simple. It is not the holy grail of collections. It's not going to replace a collector yet. It is a new channel, and it is a channel that is growing very fast. Wherever we've exposed Archi to, we can immediately see the potential and the value. So at this point, initially, Archi, you'll recall, for those of you who don't know, Archi could only make a payment arrangement. So we publish Archi via email, via SMS, on a website, and also on our Debtor Portal. So that would be the 4 main channels that we publish Archi on. And then the response would, we'll have a look at the stats now, but the response would determine, obviously, your success of that campaign. How successful is Archi? We've seen in early stage collections, and the earlier the debt, the better, of course, for all of us. But we've seen up to a 10% engagement rate on, let's say, a new handover. It goes down further down the value chain, obviously, but every PTP, every payment lead, every live payment that you receive is something that a call center agent, a query team, a query individual does not have to attend to. So the value is clear.
Yes, I'm not talking about her person, I'm talking as a staff.
Right, we had an individual not muted there. Thank you, Monine. So the value and the space where Archi fits in is clear for us, and we ever expanding, and that's why Jayce is with us this morning explaining the company that FCB.ai is, where they are going, and obviously where this partnership is going. The more they expand on their technology, the more they learn from this journey that we have with Archi, the more we will improve the product. So yeah, how do you publish Archi? How do you get Archi into a mobile phone? How do you get Archi onto a PC, onto a laptop of the debtor? Simply by running a campaign. You can obviously do that one by one on Swordfish by sending a single email, sending a single SMS, or having it, as I said, available on your website. And then obviously the fourth is possibly the best channel for us currently, where we publish Archi as a pop-up. We'll have a look if there's time later on at the Debtor Portal, where Archi pops up and then basically prompts the user into clicking and engaging with Archi. Important to remember, the video was short, but it is quick and to the point. The engagement is fully automated. There is no human intervention here. Once you've accepted the link as a debtor, it is fully automated. And that's why, jokingly, we said in the video, Archi never sleeps, he doesn't take leave, and most definitely doesn't get sick. So it is a full live presence, fully automated. There is no human intervention. So the entire journey initially was a payment, and recently in January, we added the query queue. So Archi can make various payment methods available and also a live payment. And then Archi can, if he feels cornered or the debtor, the consumer, wishes, then he can hand over to a query queue. The query queue has been scheduled, so we force the debtor, consumer, into a choice, a predetermined choice that we want them to make, and there is a handover into the query space on Swordfish. So both the payment lead made on Archi and the query is then directly integrated back into Swordfish. So there's live communication of that at account level and then also on reminder level. Good. Any questions at this point? Not seeing any hands, Monine, then we can start sharing the screen and I'll just talk you through some of the stats, the parameters we've seen on Archi. Good. Just by one of you confirm, please, anybody that you can see our screen?
Yes, we can. Yes,
Good.
we can.
Thank you. The top line here, what we did is took a massive sample of personal unsecured debt and we exposed Archi to that profile of debtors. The top graph, you will notice there's a light blue and a dark blue, and at the left is the percentage of engagement, and at the bottom is the age of the consumer, the age of the debtor. And it would come as no surprise that most of the debt in South Africa, this is a massive profile, it was a few billion rand of exposure, is owed by individuals between the age of 28 to about 38. That is our profile, and that's the consumers, the debtors' typical profile. So that's your age gap that you're looking at if we profile them. The light blue graph, the bar graph, represents Archi's engagement by those respective age groups. And the dark blue, the navy blue, that bar graph represents the engagement on the debtor portal. So you would see they mimic each other fairly well. So the engagement for those age groups clearly reflected, and it comes as no surprise that it is above the orange line. And then let me just explain the orange line. The orange line is the amount of debt that that age group would have. So it's profiled at, again, I think it peaks at about 38 there, if you look at age group 38, and then it flattens all the way down to the unfortunate individuals that still owe debt at the age of 70. So the orange line is who owes the debt, and the two bar graphs represents who engages with us on a self-help debtor portal, dark blue, and on Archi, light blue. The interesting takeaway from that, for us at least, is that above the orange line, and I don't think it's a surprise, would be the younger generation. You can see there the 25s, 26s plus, all the way up to about 37. They are above the profile line, the orange line. They engage higher than you would have above 40. Above 40, you would see the engagement is below the profile line or below the orange line. And what we're obviously anticipating is that the campaigning for Archi would become more accurate. The initial campaigns we ran were very generic. It is all of a profile, all of a certain book, all of a certain data were exposed to Archi, and then we obviously found this, apologies, this engagement profile. So what we do foresee in the future is that the campaigning will be targeted, if you look at the top graph, for the age group, anything from 20 until about age of 40, they would engage much higher than you would have 40 to 50, and obviously 50 to 60, it's got a bit of a tail there. But if you are accurate and you've got enough matters to campaign, we would obviously say, look at age group 20 to 40, Archi would perform better. It's most definitely not zero beyond 40, but if you are looking for an immediate reward and an immediate engagement, that would be your age group, about 20 to age gap 40 then. In the middle of this slide, we see time of the month, the day of the month actually, broken down into the full month, 0 on the left hand and 31 on the right hand side there. I think it comes as no surprise that it's fairly flat. There's only 2 peaks and not many valleys for day of the month that the individuals engage with Archi. You will see a small spike at 15 and then obviously a small spike at 25 again. And I think safe to say that would represent campaigning. Those would be good collection days, just after the 15th, and then just from 25 up until the 30th of the 28th of the month, there is a spike, and that in our view represents the campaigning. Good collection days, especially for payments, salary days, etc. So that it stands to reason that those days would be better to engage, but I think it's purely because of campaigning is better around that time. The bottom graph represents the time of day. Again, I'm referencing back to the video, and we said that Archi never sleeps and Archi never takes leave and is never sick. So when does the average debtor engage with Archi? It's all through the 24-hour cycle. We don't have any period of the day that it is 0. Yes, it's lower from 12 at night until 6 in the morning, but we do get those night owls that engage with us 3 o'clock in the morning, possibly working shifts. So it's most definitely not 0. But clearly, again, if you can look at the graph, the peak would be from 9 up until about 3 o'clock, and then it dies down. But it has got a very long tail, as you can see there, even 9 o'clock still showing good activity. So again, ladies and gents, if we're looking at campaigning and where Archi fits into this world, and you want the maximum reward, engagement rate from Archi, I would say age group 20 to 40, the 15th of the month, 25th of the month, and you run your campaign just before 9 to have the maximum exposure from 9 to 3, although some of them, as clearly shown here, would engage way beyond 3 o'clock all the way throughout the night into the early hours. Any questions at this point? Good, thank you. Can we all confirm you should have now 2 bar graphs on your screen with predominant orange, blue, and light blue?
Yes.
Thank you. What are we looking at here is a sample weeks that we took for the engagement. So who engages with Archi? There's the curiosity figure, and that's reflected in orange. So they do engage, and then some of them drop off immediately, and that's the dark blue. So you would see it is quite high. Initially it was high, and we're working on getting that with Jayce and his team. We are working on the conversation with Archi to get that drop off, the dark blue, less. And obviously the light blue is ultimately what we're after, is the actual engagement rate for all of those individuals that engage. This hasn't been updated with the recent, since we've done the queries. So we trust that this will drastically improve going forward, especially in terms of the improving on the drop-off rate, and then obviously having more in the completed space. At the bottom there is just the percentage split of what we want to achieve in terms of completed, and you would see that there towards week 39, end of last year, it peaked at about 20% that complete the actual journey. A lot of them, I suppose, is curiosity and unable to or unwilling to commit, then they drop off. So that is from a development point of view, and our collaboration with FCB.ai is improving that engagement, improving the journey, possibly the language that Archi uses, and improving on that rate. The next slide then, please, Monine. Thank you. We're looking at payment methods. You should all see a bar graph at the top and then 4 pie charts at the bottom. Are you happy with that?
Yes.
Good, thank you. I'm not going to chat too much about the, excuse the pun, the top graph. It just shows payment methods, and it depends on the campaigning and the time that it was launched. What is interesting is the payment method and the behavior of the engaged users. So at the bottom, you would see in the top left pie chart, light blue, dark blue, who made a payment and who didn't make a payment. So the absolute majority, you can see there, 70% fortunately did make a payment, and a smaller percentage, just about 30%, didn't make a payment. That's the behavior, the actual payment behavior. Payment methods preferred, cash EFT, absolute majority again, almost 70% of that. Debit orders, a second in about 22%, and then Easy Pay at about 8.6% there. So that's the payment channels or the methods, and soon we are looking at adding OZO to that, and then maybe Pay at is one of the other options to make a live payment. Payment frequency, bottom right-hand corner, comes as no surprise that the absolute majority is monthly. Once off as a few, and then a very small percentage weekly as a frequency. Who actually made a payment? And that's important because the payment behavior doesn't always match the response behavior. And at the bottom left, we can see that the payments match is about 48%. A complete match is the orange, which is the amount and the date matches. That is about 14%. No matching payment or date, that's the dark blue, so he didn't make any payment, or obviously there's no payment date, and then only the day match but not the amount, that's a small percentage, only about 4%. So we split the payment behavior. Not only did you make a payment, but does that payment match what you actually said on the bot? So a bit of a breakdown. Again, we'll make this available afterwards, but fortunately most of them do make a payment, as you can see top left, and bottom left then is how does that payment actually match in terms of the amount and the date that you said you would make that payment on. Then we can go to the next slide. Good. Just for the sake of clarity, you should have 3 pie charts on your screen now.
Yes, we do.
Good, thank you. Top left is how do they engage with us, and what do they do? Make a payment arrangement. As per the previous slides, the absolute majority of that, above 80%, says I want to make a payment. So there's at least a PTP in it. Want to pay now, and that speaks to your live payment channels, OZO and Easy Pay. That's about 18%, and then a small percentage, again, please excuse, this is very new. The client query is very, very small at this point, and we see that over time that'll grow. On the right-hand side, what do? I want to make a payment. There's a payment lead, the light blue, and then the settlement request, obviously a smaller percentage of the individuals actually want to settle. It seems to be 8% on the global volume currently, saying that I would want to settle as opposed to make a payment arrangement. The queries, early days for Archi in that space, but from what we've seen now, and the queries, you'll recall from my introduction that we are forcing the individuals into a behavior, into a status on that query. There is a other option, so obviously that tells us we need to improve on the drop-down that is currently available. Typically, we don't want the individual to sit and type too much. The journey becomes too long. So yeah, Jayce, I think from your end, something we can look at what the other responses are and try and improve on our current drop-down, because the others are the majority at this point, 56% saying I've got another query. The others are in terms of ranking there, my payment is not reflected. So I've made a payment, it's not showing. I request a statement, that's second or third then actually. The initial handover amount or the balance is incorrect, that's next. I'm not liable for this account, that's the pink there, small percentage fortunately. And the account's being paid with another EDC is the lower percentage. So that's the current drop down that we have. These all feed back into the front end of Swordfish as a query that would be locked in notification to in terms of a reminder to the assigned user. And I think that's our slide there, Monique.
Okay.
Good, thank you everybody. Are there any questions? If not, then I'm going to hand over to the clever guys. Jayce, let's just see if there are any hands up. No questions at this point. Then Jayce, welcome. Thank you for your time. And yes, we look forward to hearing from what Jayce has to tell us from his view, our partners at FCB.ai. Thank you, Jayce.
Hi, Jacques, and hi, team, and hi, everyone on the call. Firstly, thank you very much for inviting FCB.ai to present today and to participate in this fantastic webinar. So thank you from us as a company and as a team. Jacques, you refer to us as the clever guys. However, I'm going to take you on that point, because we're only as good as our partnerships that we have and our collaboration between ourselves and our clients and partners. So it's a great ecosystem that ultimately presents a fantastic solution to our partners that they can take through to their customers. So thanks again. We are very excited to be here today and to explain to yourself and the wider forum in terms of how our conversational AI solutions work and how they can add value to the existing infrastructure and processes that are in place in businesses, and how they can add into a better collection rate for the likes of collection businesses like yourself. I'm going to go across into a presentation, if you don't mind. I'm not going to have any visibility of the screen or questions that come through, so please, if you don't mind stopping me along the way. Alternatively, we can have a nice Q&A at the end.
I'll be your eyes.
Thank you so very much. Oops. Please, can you confirm that you can see my screen that should read conversational AI?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. So recently rebranded, our business is known as FCB.ai. And the reason we rebranded was because previously we were known in the industry as FinChatbot, which we found was actually putting us into a box of being just a financial chatbot. Now, I'll explain to you as we progress through the conversation in terms of why we decided to rebrand and the reason that we decided to move away from this idea of just being a chatbot. So obviously today we're going to focus our conversation around our collaboration with Swordfish and how our technology has aided in the collection space. And Jacques, thank you so very much for taking us through some of those really impressive stats. And it's great to see from your side just the impact that we are making and the value we are adding into Swordfish's collections world. So just to tell you a little bit about FCB.ai, we started small, a proudly South African fintech company about 5 years ago. And COVID gave us a great platform roughly 2 years ago to go into a global expansion. And today we currently have offices throughout Europe, including the UK, Portugal, and France, and an acceleration program in Qatar and in India. Further than that, as a business, we actually have clients across the full African continent and across the globe in many respects, reaching the far reaches of our geographies. It's one of our proudest sayings that we like to say is not only is Europe able to solve African problems, but we as a South African fintech are solving first world European problems. So quite exciting from our side. So you may ask, what is FCB.ai all about? Who are we and what do we do? You would have heard me previously mention the word chatbot, and that is a concept I want you to remember, but at the same time also forget. Chatbots are generally decision tree type solutions that you can purchase, as a plug-in through a internet, company or provider that you manage yourself, and generally solves for golden route or golden path type solution, which is an A/B type answer at every point. And what happens if the person chooses C? How does that affect the potential flow of the conversation? So this is where we see ourselves as quite different. We believe that we are the future or the next generation of chatbots, and we refer to ourselves as conversational AI or conversational commerce, which I'll unpack also in a short while's time. Who are we and what do we do? Is we become almost a user journey expert or a conductor of a conversational AI ecosystem that effectively produces impactful onboarding and customer services experiences. The reason we say a conductor is because we actually bring together best of breed partners, technological capabilities into a single user journey, which I'll unpack in a short while's time as well, and touching on some of Jacques' earlier points about having a pay now option where you integrate a payment gateway. And we provide the solution that brings in these capabilities and provides your user with a very slick, frictionless user journey to engage with you as a business. So I mentioned this word conversational commerce. It's definitely a term that we really strongly believe we are pioneering. And what is conversational commerce? It's really in the name. It's the ability to do commerce in a conversational manner. And funny enough, we are even taking another step forward in terms of that understanding and referring to our solutions as RPA. And no, not the beer, but rather interactional process automation. So how do we look at a current situation in a customer or client's world? How do we aid in terms of either becoming a complementary solution to their current infrastructure? So obviously in the collection space, your call center is a massive, massive channel, but how do we aid as a complementary channel to provide users with other optionalities? Furthermore, how do we look at manual processes and being able to automate those manual processes, thereby providing higher operational efficiencies and lower operational costs? I suppose the big thing about conversational commerce, and Archi and Jacques also alluded to it, Archi never sleeps. Archi is available 24/7 and across multiple channels, which are not limited. As long as there's an API-driven integration, we can integrate into those channels. And furthermore, with regards to a conversational AI solution, you're not limited by a capability or a limitation in terms of one human being being able to handle 20, 40, 60 calls a day. Here you can have multiple instances of conversations happening concurrently, 24/7, and so from a scalable point of view, it becomes significantly scalable. Furthermore, every conversation is tracked, every conversation is looked at, and we as a business then look at how do we optimize through an iterative approach in terms of taking the solution, which in month 1 will produce a completion rate of 30%, that by the time we get to month 6 and 12, that completion rate grows to 40, 50, 60% and beyond. So what is our approach? We do not look at ourselves as a traditional SaaS or licensing company that is a solution that we provide to you, which you plug into your world and manage, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, we are happy because we receive a license fee. That's not how we work at all. We believe in partnering very closely with our clients as opposed to being a service provider. And what does that mean? It almost means we take a stance of let's say a consulting firm that comes in, works with our clients and partners to understand where their pain points. And then we work with our partners to solve those specific pain points. And we do it by means of delivering a technological solution in the form of a conversational AI solution. Furthermore, we manage the solution on a daily basis and weekly basis. We have a full team that is brought in to optimize the solution, from a customer success manager to business analysts, devs, tech, data science. All of this becomes a comprehensive team, almost a value add that we bring to the table to help in terms of managing the solution and then optimizing it and iterating the solution over time, A/B testing, that by the time we move, as I said, to progress into 6, 12 months and beyond, we are constantly improving the returns and the results that we see through our solutions. And lastly is commercial alignment, which for us is probably the most important aspect of these three bubbles, is we don't want to be a cost center, we want to be a value add. And if we're able to derive a higher ROI or higher value by means of a revenue result where possible, then we want to commercially align in that upside and make sure that our performance reflects your performance, and our drive is to obviously optimize the solution. I'm going to pause for one moment here just to allow for any questions that may be that the wider audience may have, and if not, I'll happily move on. Great. I suppose no questions at this point in time, which means I'm doing a great job at explaining the solution very well. When it comes to our products, we have really productized 5 main products, which I'll explain to you now. But effectively, we can build a solution that can satisfy any touch point along a business value chain. Anything from onboarding and sales at the front of that funnel, all the way into the back of the funnel, which is your retentions and then collections. And for the purpose of today, we're going to focus on the collection space. But then also in the middle, what about customer service and FAQ and the ability to upsell or cross-sell? We can build a solution that can really satisfy any of these touch points. Our preference, though, is to always start small and build big. And as you'll see with Archi, how it originally started with 1 or 2 options for users, we have now built that into an additional layer, which is the query functionality. And as Archi progresses and as Archi matures, so we'll bring in other capabilities. But just to touch on the 5 products, you would see 6 blocks here, but there are 5 products. Is the first of which is eKYC and our ability to do document verification and validation through our solution, where a user can upload a document and be verified all in one chat. Then furthermore, to onboarding, the full ability to do end-to-end sales and quoting, using our technology from an uncontactable solution. This is a big thing, is contactability in call centers, and how does a conversational AI solution assist in increasing contactability, that a call center or an agent was not able to get hold of a particular lead or record, and how do we then plug in our solution to become another channel of trying to establish contactability with a client and then pre-qualifying them and re-injecting them into the call center environment, and or taking them through a full end-to-end quoting and sales solution where there's no human or manual intervention required. Before I come to collections, obviously, as I mentioned, customer service somewhere in the middle, which is FAQ, and a big driver of our AI technology, which refers to your natural language processing and natural language understanding. And how do we be able to speak to clients and engage with them when they come in with a query? If I, as Jayce, come in into a business and say, what's the status of my claim? As a business, as our technology, we should pick up the intent of the message, which is status and claim, be able to associate that to Jayce's record and come back to Jayce in real time with a result that satisfies that particular request. I'm going to pause for a second and just maybe to just explain, and I'll come back on that a little bit later, but we have over 100,000 active conversations that we are monitoring per month. AI algorithms, machine learning is all a byproduct of data inputs. So you're not going to get that, explosive AI off the bat. But however, when you work with us and for a period of time, and we're looking at, it depends on the data that's coming in, but I would say 6 to 12 months, so that algorithm gets fed and so it becomes smarter and smarter. And the longer that we engage with our clients, and generally most of our client engagements are in the 4 and 5 year stages, so those algorithms start becoming smarter and smarter, and to a point it becomes a machine-driven conversation rather than a decision tree-driven conversation. And finally, collections, which we'll focus on today for the purpose of the remainder of my presentation, is how do we become a complementary channel to a call center? How do we provide users with additional optionality? And, you know, every user, as Jacques mentioned, in terms of age band, will have different preferences. Your younger generations, your millennials and pre-millennials, and, you know, are generally in this comfort space of technology, whereas your elder generation of clientele may not be comfortable with technology. So how do we satisfy, how do we speak to all forms of people, irrespective of age, gender, location, in a way that they want to engage with you as a business? And this is where conversational commerce becomes a channel in terms of that engagement. And finally, it's not a product, but everything we build is bespoke. No two of our solutions are the same across any client. And the reason that is we really take a consulting approach to a conversation that says, what do we need to do to satisfy your pain point? And how can we build a solution that's unique to your business, but which will satisfy the problem that you're experiencing? So just to come back to this point of AI-driven conversation. So it's in our name, FCB.ai, and we're very proud that it's a part of our business. But we have a platform that is built around AI. And what does that mean? AI is a catchphrase. It's something that people use quite loosely. But AI is a byproduct of a machine learning algorithm. Data input results in better data output. So we have 6 core modules or servers, one of which is a dedicated machine learning AI module, which literally feeds information through it. As I mentioned, we have over 100,000 conversations a month. All of those are running through our AI module and constantly enriching our knowledge and our database of responses, of intent versus response. Furthermore, every client of ours has their own unique sector within that module, which would appropriate the correct response or AI algorithm or learning to eventually introducing the full AI capabilities, which, as I said, is a medium to long-term vision when you work with a client, because obviously data input is paramount so that the algorithm can really function correctly. So furthermore to that, we believe we are user journey experts. We do understand the friction points and pain points that a customer may experience. So we build all of our workflows in terms of a great UX, UI experience, but it's not static, which means that we have a team, a dedicated team of our customer success management team that actually proactively monitors for drop-off and friction points in the conversation. And what should happen is the team would come back to the likes of Jacques and say, Jacques, we found that we've put the ID question at the beginning of the conversation. It's amounting to 30% drop-off because people maybe don't feel comfortable. So let's move that question and A/B test it to the back end of the conversation when somebody is engaged and feels more confident that they're comfortable in terms of the engagement. And let's assess those results. The whole, let's say, mandate of our CSM team is to constantly improve that completion rate and make sure that we're doing everything we can in order to facilitate higher completions. Further than that, we're this orchestrator of multiple technologies and microservices, which are not our technology, but where we use best of breed partners. And finally, this speaks to the partner ecosystem. So our ability to do OCR capability or eKYC or fraud detection or the likes of payment gateways is not technology that we host or which belongs to us. We that orchestrator layer that brings it all together into a seamless experience. But there we use best of breed partners. And in this following slide here, it really speaks to how does our chat integrate into either legacy CRM system or a modern CRM system? And then how do we bring on eKYC, OCR, digital signature, payment gateways, all of these capabilities where appropriate. So again, we build bespoke. We can either build a solution that has none of these capabilities but satisfies a requirement, or we could look at a full onboarding or interaction process, which includes multiple of these particular technologies. If you can see on the right-hand side of my presentation here, you'll get a sense of what does this look like. So a user engages with the solution. We are integrated into your back-end systems, which means that the data is available and we can validate. If Jayce comes on, let's validate, pull from your data to make sure that Jayce is speaking to the correct account, right? As we do have in place with Swordfish. Then we use the smart natural language processing and AI to understand the intent of the user. This again, if we're looking at an FAQ type scenario, this is really where it becomes, the AI algorithms come to life. We then take the user through a journey of pre-qualification. If once we've engaged with them, there's a need to do a FICA check and a document upload, we use eKYC, or maybe they're going through a payment process where you need to integrate a payment gateway and then have a digital signature signed. The user would be guided through that process in a very frictionless, easy manner. The technology and capability that happens in the back end is where our expertise lies, and tying in those different API calls in a seamless way that the user is never frustrated. Some of the partners we work with, and this is our technology partners, there's over 35 plus partners, you only see a small snapshot here, but anything from payment gateways to credit bureaus to the likes of debit order or collections type technologies, we are partner agnostic. We like working with a multitude of partners because it becomes easy for us then to take a solution to market quicker if we're already integrated into those particular partner technologies. But also what that means for our customers and clients is if you have a payment gateway that we are not already using or part of our partner ecosystem, then we'll integrate into your payment gateway. So it becomes easy for you to use your existing technology partners or for us to bring technology partners to you to try to build a better user experience for our clients. Finally, just to go into my last few slides, and then I'll be very comfortable to go into a more open question and answer type conversation, is how does the conversational AI process make sense in the debt collection space? So there are three primary benefits that we believe of using conversational AI is better collection rates, which, as I said, become a complementary to your existing efforts, and in many respects might replace one or two of those efforts in terms of better operational efficiencies or cost reductions. Two is automated communication. An individual is speaking to an algorithm, to a machine, to a solution that is going to guide them to a corrective measure. And the need for human or manual intervention is very little. However, where we do believe that human intervention can come into the conversation, then we are very comfortable to break away into a human or a manual environment. Our preference, though, is to try to take that manual process and make it into a fully automated process that satisfies the user. Largely scalability. Right, the ability that if you want to increase call volumes or collections in a call center, you may need to increase your seat count. And of course, as I said, that's a super important thing is to not move away from the call center, but to add as a capability. So one conversational AI solution could effectively run 24/7, 7 days a week, and never have to take leave or take a break, as Jacques mentioned. Finally, into the last two impressive stats, is that there is a belief in the technology space that around 95% of customers will interact with businesses through AI-driven technologies by 2023. The likes of conversational AI that we build, which can be multi-platform, anything from web, desktop, Telegram, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, or WhatsApp. We can integrate into any of those chat capabilities, obviously considering the limitations of some of those, let's say, chat platforms, but users want to now engage with businesses through chat. We are seeing this more and more and more. And finally, when a user completes an experience, we find that 70% of those users felt that it was a very effective means of solving a problem with a business or engaging with a business, and that they didn't actually need to engage with a live agent, that they felt comforted in that solution and through the conversational AI technology. Great, so just into my last few slides is how do we as a business understand how to streamline that customer experience, right? And how do we see stats that speak to us, speak to the value of a AI or conversational AI technology? One is it provides a 60% reduction in wrong numbers handled by agents. A big issue in call centers is RPC, like right person contact, but the inverse of it, which is wrong person contact. So how do we use the solution to get better contactability, and to make sure we're speaking to the right people. Next is around a 27% reduction in inbound and outbound calls. So the ability to use conversational AI as both a solution that can drive business or one that can retain business, right? So to take away that inbound and outbound traffic potentially from call centers and push it into a more scalable, cost-effective solution. And then finally, around a 40% increase in the probability of speaking with the right party. So again, speaking to that RPC, is when a person's engaging with a solution, whether it's business or user intent, we are finding that the right person is spoken to more often than not. And maybe to conclude, I'd like to just touch on the solution that we've worked together with Swordfish, which you know, Jacques, you refer to us as the clever guys, but I think that our ability to deliver value is based on the nature of the engagement that we've had. And with Swordfish, it's been a very collaborative, brilliant engagement where we are both and all on the same page of how do we optimize, how do we become better, and how do we provide Swordfish and the customers of Swordfish with a better experience. So the challenge we were provided around 2 years ago, give or take, was the team wanted to introduce a friendly, easy to use automated platform that facilitated payment plans and paying of debt now, and also something that was scalable and available 24/7, doesn't have the limitations of a regular human being. And how do we help? We built an end-to-end debt collection and payment solution with the following 2 user journeys that's expanded into a 3rd user journey. The first of which is Pay Now, the ability for a person to settle their debt in conversation through the use of a technology partner and a payment gateway like Pay At or Ozo or EasyPay that have been mentioned previously by Jacques. And then the ability that if somebody doesn't feel so comfortable to pay now, that to give an instruction to pay later, to make a payment plan. And then again, this would break away to a manual or agent process that would go and capture this information, banking details, change of debit order dates, etc., in terms of facilitating that process as a breakaway from the chat. But the user's been satisfied. Obviously, the third one here, which we have not seen, is queries and the ability for an individual to come and query a particular collection or amount or value or count, and then for Swordfish to be able to satisfy the information with the customer with the correct information. And finally, Archi is available 24/7. And in a very private and effortless way, a human is able to engage with Archi, who has this beautiful personality, and feel comforted that they are in a secure and safe environment and can go through and be able to pay their either current debt or issue an instruction for a pay later type scenario. And finally, last slide of my presentation is this is what Archi looks like. We've had a brief demo, so thank you very much to the team for assisting in that demo. Archi is one of our greatest success stories in the collection space, and there's quite a bit of information here. I'm not going to go through it in great detail, but one of the points I want to highlight on this is if you focus your attention to the left side of my presentation, you'll notice that Archi is in the CI and the colors and corporate feel of Swordfish. All of our solutions are built bespoke in accordance with the client's CI guidelines. And so all of our solutions are white labeled, which means that the consumer engaging with the particular customer doesn't feel like this is a third party technology. They feel as if they're dealing directly with the particular company that they are engaging with. So the look and feel all has to reflect the tonality and personality of the particular brand and customers and clients that we work with. In terms of Archi, there are 3 main integrations, one into core administrative and CRM systems. The other is the ability for the solution to be cloud hosted, which means we can keep it in South African context, or the ability to move it into server space on a global scale if we got to that point. And then finally, the utilization of a payment gateway in the form of Ozo, which is seamlessly integrated into the solution. Again, not going to go through the greater detail of this particular slide, but what we find is engagement rates, once a person starts engaging, is pretty much 55% of people that start engaging with Archi do engage with Archi, and then 26% conversion, meaning that of the people that engage, around 30% of them end up completing the conversation either by means of a pay now, pay later, or query functionality that's been concluded. And from my side, that would be the presentation, and thank you all for your time and for indulging me and allowing me to present FCB and our solution to you, as well as the work that we're doing with Swordfish. And if you don't mind, I'm going to scroll back to my previous screen where I'm going to end sharing my screen and hand back to you, Jacques.
Thank you, Jayce. Very thorough presentation. And we got to look at the back end on your end, and then where you are as a company, and obviously, as you've quite eloquently put it at the end, what the challenge was that Swordfish presented to you, and what the solution is that you came up with. Before we allow for questions, I just want to touch on that again, ladies and gents, in the meeting, that the integration between FCB and Swordfish it's fully integrated. Most of the information that you see presented on the screen as a data consumer is pulled via API, so it is live data. So if we're talking balances, bank accounts, all of that is live. It's a API call that is pulled from your installation of Swordfish. Jayce, you did also touch on the look and feel of it. The journey would be the same for Archi, but we do cater for the individual logos for the firms that make use of it, and I believe Nedbank would be going on soon. So we do present that or represent that as an individual identity, although Archi looks the same. The heading would represent or reflect the logo of our client ultimately. Yes. So yeah, your balances are live, and if you are making settlements and payments, it's all pulled from via API call, pulled directly from the Swordfish front end, or the DB rather than it's so what you see as a collector is what the individual consumer debtor sees on his end if he engages with Archi. Yes, thank you again, Jayce. Thank you for presenting. Thank you for joining us. Very insightful. Thank you for that. And then we will please ask if there are any questions. Yes, thank you. Suspecting it's a bit of stage fright. It's daunting to ask a question if there are more than 100 online.
Hi, Jacques. It's Ralwin. How are you?
Ralwin, good morning. Find yourself.
I can't complain. Thank you so much for a very insightful webinar so far. So yes, I do have a question. I just wanted to establish from your slide earlier, you showed that the EasyPay sits around the 8% mark from a customer choice, if I may call it that. So what does Swordfish envisage in terms of the growth of that platform for payments? Or was that the projected mark, 8%?
Good. That's the actual numbers currently, and it's global. So we've combined all of the traffic on that we've seen on Swordfish for the clients that are making use of it. We've combined that. So in your organization, it may obviously be different. We have great success. There are some individuals online here from Nedbank. They seeing massive growth in EasyPay, way above anything that we've expected. And some other channels, some other clients would prefer a OZO to that. So I think the type of debt you have and the type of consumer will dictate that outcome. But it is, well, it's EasyPay. It's easy to use. I would say, and I would hazard a guess, your lower LSM values take more to the EasyPay. It is convenient when they do pay their utilities, they buy their lotto tickets, whatever the case may be. So if I may hazard a guess in that area, I would say your lower LSM values would take more to the EasyPay channel. Your more tech-savvy individuals, still the same age group possibly, but more tech-savvy, your Apple users, they would go for OZO. They are used to a OZO channel. It's used by Takealot and a lot of the other big vendors, so they may be comfortable with that. Our engagement in that, and when we do engage with the consumers that haven't completed the journey, would be, I'm not comfortable to enter my login credentials via a link. And we've had this discussion with OZO and some of the other similar partners. Some of the banks would specifically tell the consumer, the debtor, not to use a link to access the bank details. And by using OZA, you do exactly that. They mimic what you would see on your Absa Capitec FNB Netbank login screen. Some are comfortable with that. I am comfortable, and I do use OZA and for various tasks, but some of them would not be. So I think, again, depending on where your profile is and possibly even the LSM value comfort levels with tech, they may choose, I would rather go Easy Pay as opposed to OZA or Pay at. But as you saw on my slide, the absolute majority at this point is still on the cash EFT. So we publish the bank detail that they want, or the reference number, and they go and make a payment there. The other channels are still below that. Most definitely, your OZA channel and your Easy Payments are below even debit orders at this point. Some individuals feel more comfortable to load a debit order than to make use of a OZA channel. Yes. But yeah, a short answer to your question, it's global numbers. It's not specific to a client, and it's not specific to a type of debt. All I can confirm is all of the debt and all of the profiling that we've done is on personal unsecured debt. There's nothing asset-based at this point. Yes.
Great. Thanks a lot, Jacques.
Good. Thank you. Rowan, you open the floor now, but there's a one hand up. Thank you. It is from Cindy Naidu. Thank you.
Hi, Jacques. I was just wondering, with regards to the reporting, I see that the drop-offs are quite high. We can see the percentage, but is there anything specifically that could provide us maybe with the actual accounts that were affected? So should we want to campaign on those accounts, seeing that there was some sort of activity on that? Yeah, so would there be a report provided perhaps?
Most definitely, and that comes directly from FCB. What we do integrate into the front end of Swordfish, and then obviously available on reporting, is the actual payment lead that may or may not be converted into a payment. So a very valid question. That reporting is directly from FCB, and the journey, it's very detailed. We'll share that with them, Jayce, afterwards, what that typical report looks like. At every step in the journey with Archi, there is a drop-off. So they can tell us exactly up until what point the consumer engaged and then left the journey. So it is very detailed in that aspect, and quite right. I think we should be focusing on that to see why did you engage with us, and then as soon as we said make a payment, you dropped. Or as soon as we said, what is your query, you dropped off. Or we got to a payment method. So there are various reasons, I suppose, for that. And it's part of the journey and the exploration by us and FCB to improve on that and to see why. So they most definitely looking at it. Short answer to your question, it is in detail and it is available in a report. It comes directly from FCB. Yes.
Thank you, Jacques. That will be excellent. Just one more question as well. I see that there's a list of queries that's included. I just wanted to know if there could be queries also added on that's used internally to reflect.
We had a discussion offline just before. Again, yes, you would recall from my slide, more than 50% of the current queries go to other, which tells us our menu is not satisfying the major query needs. It's a default dropdown. To be honest, it was inherited from the Debtor Portal. If you're familiar with the Debtor Portal on Swordfish, the self-help channel, it is the exact same queries reflected there. And if there's a lesson for us to learn, the behavior on the Debtor Portal does not mimic that on Archi. So we would have to improve on that. The short answer again, yes, we will expand, and it will appreciate your recommendations as more individuals and more companies come onto Archi. We would be able to improve on that drop-down. It's a static drop-down, so not much work on Jayce's side and his team. We're just expanding on the drop-down, or maybe even supplementing some of the current options available.
Thank you, Jacques.
Good. I've got a hand up there, Jayce. I can see Ronald. Yes. Ronald? Ronald, I can see your hand is still up and you are not muted, but we're not getting any audio from you, Ronald.
Okay, so we do have a question here from David in the chat. So I'll just read that out and then Jacques can answer that for you, David. I see you are having some issues with your audio there. So the question is, what is the development required for our company information and transactions? What is the timeline from start to running? Is that assuming the setup for Archi?
Yes, I'm assuming that's the question. Monine, you want to answer that or shall I?
Please answer.
I'll do it. Good. So what Jayce and his team needs from Swordfish is stationery, the logo typically. You would have seen that the top bar of Archi would represent your logo. So that would be in the Nedbank space or one of our clients, that would be your logo. So that's fairly easy to do. And then the deployment, I'm not sure if Hendrik is on this, to get it from start to finish. I would hazard a guess, Jayce, I'm not sure, about 2 weeks to get it up and running?
Yeah, sorry if I can jump in.
Yes.
So absolutely, depending on the API document that's sent to us, it's almost how long is a piece of string. But if everything's in order from an API integration point of view, very quick, we could do that, as you say, within probably 10 to 14 work days. But we are really, our timelines for delivery are very much on dependencies from client. So as soon as we are able to receive documents that we can review, we can then send back information in terms of how long it will take to integrate.
Good, thank you. Yes, so the payment channel, I think, is one thing we have to focus on. The OZO arrangement, Let's Talk OZO and Let's Talk EasyPay, Jayce, that is a separate commercial arrangement for the Swordfish client. So you enter into a commercial arrangement. Those channels obviously charge a fee for their service, and you enter into a commercial arrangement with, let's say, OZO or EasyPay. And then once that is done, we obviously just open that channel on Archi. So that is dependent on the integration is there, but you need a commercial arrangement for them. They charge some of them a monthly fee, and then some of them only per transaction. Ballpark there about 3%, 1.5% to 3%, depending on your volume that you're looking at per transaction fee. We have another question on the chat here saying about the debtor info. So what do we store? The initial screen you saw was very friendly from Archi. Hi, I'm Archi here to chat. Please give me your name. And your name is a default. There's no limit on that. So I think anything above 3 letters is accepted as the name, and that's captured. And then the other piece of info we obviously need is for Archi to capture the ID number, and that is validated against your DB. So that would be an API call into your Swordfish installation to say, do you have an account for this individual, yes or no? And then if that's validated, that's fine. And then the final question is the mobile number. The mobile number is not validated against the account because the individual may be chatting from a different device or different SIM card. Some of them, the professional debtors, have more than one SIM, as you know. So we do capture that, but it's not validated against. So the validation is done on ID number. That API call pushes back into Archi, and then Archi will reflect the number of accounts that that individual has. So it may be exposure 1, 2, 3, or account 1, 2, and 3, and then he can engage with that. So in terms of security, there is validation in firstly, you sending the link to the individual, and secondly, he has to have the correct ID number to access that account. Good. Any other questions? Not seeing any questions at the moment. There is a hand, Ronald again. Let's see if we can hear you, Ronald. I can see your hand is up and you are not muted, but we're not getting any audio, Ronald. Ronald, I'm going to ask you if you don't mind just to type your question in the notes and the comments, and then we'll attend to that. Clearly, we're not getting any audio from you.
This was the question earlier. So I'm just going to repeat the question that Ronald has posted in the chat. How can this technology help us with trace, and how secure is client data information?
So yeah, I think I've answered some of that already, Ronald. There is authentication to the ID number on the DB. So if you haven't got that, then you will not be able to engage. And obviously you first of all need the link, and that link is generated from Swordfish. As I said, email, SMS, or on the Debtor Portal. On the Debtor Portal, there would obviously be two-factor authentication, where if you link it there, it's ID number linked to an OTP to either email or mobile number SMS. So that's the fourth channel that I talked about is the actual Debtor Portal before you can get into. And then security-wise, Jayce, it's to the same level as we have HTTPS on Swordfish. From your end, maybe just how secure, if we can talk some of the security measures you have in place, because we break out of Swordfish into this FCB.ai conversation, and then obviously we push it back. So whilst it is in your space, let's talk some of the security measures, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, with absolute pleasure. So protection of data and security of data is paramount for us, as you can imagine. We utilize AWS in terms of our hosting servers, which can be in country, can be completely off-prem or partially on-prem or on full-prem. But the beauty of AWS and cloud hosting is we can have servers sitting either within South African confines or in a European confine or a global context. So that's from a server point of view. I suppose maybe just to explain, as a business, we obviously are fully aware of POPI, Protection of Personal Information Act, and the necessities and securities around POPI. But furthermore than POPI is because we are now a global business, we actually abide by GDPR, which is quite a bit more intensive than POPI. So our servers, our data is all protected based on the GDPR requirement, which again is quite significantly higher than just your regular POPI environment. And then just the last point is we often have and perform penetration tests, either ourselves against our own infrastructure. Alternatively, we open up ourselves for clients to perform penetration tests with us. So for us, this is probably our greatest area of focus as an operational side of our business, is protection and security of data that is flowing through our algorithms. So yeah, we're very comfortable, and I hope that gives a layer of comfort as well.
It certainly does. Thank you. Ladies and gents, I'm not seeing any more hands. We're not seeing anything on the chat. I can see Jayce shuffling around uncomfortably in his chair. He's got a very important meeting at 12. Ishara, your hand is up. Thank you, Ishara from Nedbank. Yes.
Hello, Jacques. I don't have a question, rather a comment. So in light of our current recoveries portfolio, I definitely believe Archi will add value from a penetration perspective. We don't have sufficient agents to action our entire portfolio, so we're very excited about that we could use Archi. We love the 24/7 chat capabilities, which is in line with Nedbank's vision, which is client centricity, putting the client first and at everything we do. So we're really excited about that. And I can assure you that once we start campaigning Archi, you will definitely have lots of tickets logged from my team to optimize and enhance Archi. So get ready for that, John. Thank you.
Shara, thank you for the kind comments, and excited about this journey with you as well. Thank you. And yeah, currently the ticket master is to my left. So Monine, be prepared for those tickets on Nedbank. Yes, thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Ishara. Good. Monine, can you confirm the chat is quiet? I'm not seeing any hands up. And then all that I have left to do is, again, thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you for the questions. Very informative. We are most definitely very excited about this journey. I've already got a few suggestions for Jayce, and I could see he made a few notes when we went through the respective presentations. Thank you for our valued clients. We really do appreciate your time and taking time to sit and view this presentation with us. And more importantly, we look forward to those clients launching Archi into your space very soon. And we know of 2 or 3 that is just about to launch. I'm very excited about that. And hopefully the tickets are not all that many. Thank you. Monine, all done? Jayce?
Yes, if I may just quickly add, Ronald still has a question. I don't think we understand completely, so we are going to give you a call after this, Ronald.
Thank you.
Okay.
All done.
Yeah, maybe just from my side, just a big thank you from FCB to yourself, Jacques, and the Swordfish team, and to everyone who joined the webinar. Really, thank you for indulging us and giving us the platform to talk to everyone today. So thank you very much.
Only a pleasure. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody attending. Keep well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.